The second section of the Navigator is the view map. And the view map is similar to the project map in that it has some sort of a tree structure and it moves you to different windows of the project. But it's different in that the tree structure is totally defined by you. And also when you go to the different windows, it goes to different settings. So here in my current tree structure, I have two plain folders defined. One of drafting views, and in here I have, and it's a regular folder that I made with the Create New Folder button. Then inside of it I have what are called clone folders that I made with the Clone Folder button. And I'll come back to that in a little bit of a second, but I've got essentially each story of the project defined using the drafting layer combinations, 3/4 inch scale, drafting model view options, and the same thing for sections, elevations, and interior elevations. So at any time I can double click and move instantly to the basement story and switch to the drafting layer combination, the entire model partial structure display, the normal pin set, drafting model view options, etc. And I could do the same thing to go to any of my elevations or interior elevations. And those I have defined for drafting purposes. But then I've also got construction documentation defined, and these correspond to specific output drawings that I want to use. So I have the drafting for just when I'm doing modeling, and that could include something that says, oh, don't show all the layers, but the ones I need while I create a particular type of drawing. And here for my construction documentations, I can say, show me my ground floor floor plan, which switches me to the first floor ground floor plan. It turns on my partition plan layer combination, goes to 3/16 inch scale, goes to displaying the core only of my composite walls, normal pin sets, true line weights and hatching in the walls, and architectural dimensioning. I could then later switch to the ground floor reflected ceiling plan by double clicking on it. Instantly it's changed me to a different layer set, different partial structure display, different pin type, different model view options, that sort of thing. So I can get to any of the drawings, and that's really what these construction documentation views amount to for me, is the specific drawings that I want to be able to print out. Now, from here, sometimes it's, well, how do I create one of these views? Typically the way I would do that is I go to the project map and go to the particular story, section, elevation, or whatnot it is that you want. In this case, I'm going to go to the ground floor. Then I switch to the layers that I want to see. I'm going to show my partition plan layers, but I'm going to show, instead of and entire model, but instead of CD true weight, I'm going to show the reflected ceiling plan layer combination, because I think I could use this more like as a key plan. But of course my key plan on the edge of my title block, I wanted a much smaller scale, so I'm going to go to, again, a much smaller scale, and okay, I am running into an issue with my staircase at that smallest scale. So let's see if there's an option for this. Okay. It looks like I can only show it or not, so in my case for right here, what I'll do is I will hide my stairs layer. Okay, so now I've simplified this floor plan to be a key plan type floor plan. And as I look at this, this is exactly what I need for a new drawing. So I go back to my view map and highlight where I want to put this drawing. I'm going to put it inside of my construction documentation and I'm going to create a new view by clicking Save Current View, and it gives me the option to save this. Now, some of the things it remembers here. One, it suggests an ID and name. Well, I'm going to change the name to a custom name and call this Key Plan. The source is the ground floor. The layer combination is custom, not a specific layer combination, because I didn't have one defined. Normally, this is a very bad thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this for now, later create a layer combination, and show you how I could edit this view to be up to date later. Set my scale, everything's set the way I want. In this particular case, I don't care about the zooming, so I'm going to say ignore this show the fit in window, but ignore the zoom when opening it. And that does two things. One, when I open this view, it won't change what I'm zoomed in on. And two, when I place it in a sheet in the layout book, it'll fit in window automatically rather than being cropped to begin with. And I'll create this, and you can see it's added it to the bottom of my floor plan. Now, I could also, in here, create subfolders inside of here, just for information stuff. Like title block items, for me to put things that are drawings that'll go on the title block, like that key plan. And I could move this up anywhere I need it in the view. Now you'll notice these other views are a little bit different in that they have different icons here. That's because they weren't created as folders, but as cloned folders. And that's useful when you're going to need the same type of drawing from every story or every elevation or every some window type in ArchiCAD. In that case, you do the same thing where you go to one of the stories, elevations, sections, whatever. Set your quick options the way you want, but then instead of creating a view, you hit the clone folder button and it'll say, okay, what are you trying to clone? And I could say, I'm going to clone all of the stories and name them key plans. And again, it gives me this list of options. And I clone them, and you'll see it automatically created one for every story in the project, and each of them has their own settings, and I could then rename them as appropriate. The advantage of cloning the folders is I do it once for all the stories of the project, and then later, if the project changes and you add another story, every one of the cloned folders adds that new story with the same settings that the parent clone already had. Now in this case I don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that story again. Now, if I had done this where I created one of these key plans and I no longer need it, and I say delete this, since this is part of a clone folder, it warns you that deleting it's going to delete the whole clone. It's going to delete the basement one and the second floor one, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete them because I don't need them. The other thing I want to do is show you how to update one of these plans. If I were to go into my layer combinations and look at my layer settings, and to redefine one of these layer combinations, the views that use them will automatically be updated. But in this case, I'm on a custom set because I hid the stairs layer, and I don't have that saved as a layer combination, so I'm going to save that as a new combination for key plan drawings. And hit OK. But that does not update this view until I go into this view setting and say change this view so that it knows to use key plan drawings layer combination. And I hit OK. Now if I go into my layer settings and say switch to, and the key plan layer combination, we're going to hide the equipment. Now when I go to a different view and come back, it remembers that the equipment, which was the cabinets, is hidden. I don't particularly want that, so I'm again going to show that so that it's remembered. And again, as I go to a different view, and then come back, it's remembered to show those other layers because I've updated the layer combination that was defined in the view map. So in here you can have views that represent places you want to get to for drafting purposes. In my case, I've got a drafting view that says essentially turn on all my layers, go to my standard pin sets, that sort of thing. And then views that represent specific sections of the project to create specific drawing types. A partitioned dimension floor plan, a reflected ceiling plan, elevations for printing, key plan, any of those sort of things.